Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining me here for another call of Living with Divatude. I know not everybody knows me, so I want to give a very brief introduction to who I am. I'm Nikki Shearer Byrne. I've been in the coaching industry for the last 15 years and have coined the term Divatude to encompass an understanding that I came across about 8 years ago that has helped me to see where our perspective of life is coming from, where our reality is coming from. And I really work on the basis of a few different avenues that I have and understandings that I have come across in my years and as a coach and as a seeker of truth, maybe we might call it. And one of those being the 3 principles. I don't want you to go off and start looking these things up if you haven't heard about them, but they're just interesting terms that I'll bring in as we go along. A little bit as well around law of attraction, Abraham Hicks, that kind of thing, Byron Katie, and more than anything, my own wisdom, because the understanding that I have received from the 3 principles, which is simply an understanding, has helped me to tap into living from my own wisdom. Why I call it Divatude? Well, I'm also a singer. I've been a singer all of my life, and I've realized that living as a diva and the ways that a diva shows up, being present, trusting in herself, leaning back in life, allowing support to come through, is a very, very great it's a very good way to describe what this understanding is about. So I call it Divatude, and I invite you now just to sit back and have a little listen to today. Listen out more for a feeling if you can. This is less about the words that I'm saying and more about what you're seeing. There's nothing that I'm teaching here really as per se, but it's more about what you're actually hearing in between the lines, so to speak. So you might have something called an insight. You might get some kind of revelation. You might see something differently. It might come to you as a big aha moment where you can completely, put it into words and know exactly what to say. And it might just come as a feeling that you've no idea what it is exactly, but it's just like the first sense of something fresh, something new. So we're really looking out for something fresh and for something new here. So to give you today's topic, which I decided to bring to the table, which is discovering your true desire. I've got a few little notes here just to keep myself on track, but I'm not really going to stay with the notes so much. Let me just grab those. I can figure it out. How to do the screen. Yes, there we go. Put the screen and the notes together. So a lot of people that are in my audience and in my community are entrepreneurs or service-based entrepreneurs. They can often be coaches, healers, but I want to open this up. I'm wanting to open up Divatude to everybody, which is why I'm having these twice a month kind of calls, or every second week kind of call. I'm calling it Living with Divatude, because it really is for everybody. And what I want to share with you is that you're in the right place if you have been trying to create something in your life. So that could be that you're trying to create money. It could be that you're trying to create clients for your business. It could be that you're trying to create success in your business, but it can equally be that you've been trying to create better health and well-being. It could be that you're trying to create a different kind of lifestyle, a home, a house, material things, a relationship, being a better parent, whatever it might be that you're trying to create. If it's feeling like an uphill struggle, if it feels like something that you're efforting to do, if it feels like something that is a lot of figuring out and a lot of trying, and especially if you have an interest in understandings and teachings such as the law of attraction, magic, or anything else spiritual, or even religion, prayer, anything like that you believe in, that you've been really studying and following. And this is not a prerequisite to this work, by the way. You don't have to have done any of those things, but very often people that are following me are also looking in these avenues as well. And we become a little discouraged when it starts to look like I'm doing all the work, I'm doing all of the external work and I'm doing all of the inner work, and it's not working. Or it is working, but it's all on me. It's all on me to do the efforting. It's all on you to find all the resources, to put in all the graft and the hard work, right? And that leads to very often that it feels like, you're tired, you might be burning out, you might have to put another part of your life on hold. So for example, if it's in a business, your relationships are suffering, your health might be suffering because of it. So what I want to help you with here today is the very first step of what I've seen a lot of people are missing, myself included, until recently, until I had a very big insight around this area of your true desire. So let me elaborate on what that means, okay? So we often look at, here's what I want to create. I want to create a 6K income, right? Or I want to create 5 new clients, or I want to create a new program, or I want to create, a relationship, right? An intimate relationship, or a love relationship, or a better marriage than the one I'm in already. I want to create better, more love in my marriage. And what's happening here for most of us is that we're actually looking at, they are manufactured desires. They are desires that are coming from old thinking, possibly from other people's ideas, possibly from society, possibly from the industry we're in, if it's to do with our work. And it looks as though this is what it is that we want to create. So let's just take money for a moment, because money is a huge one, right? And it looks as though we want to create $10,000 a month, or euros or pounds or whatever you're in, right, per month, or 5,000. It doesn't matter what it is, right? But that's what it looks like. And then we go about our day and we do the work and we put the effort in, and we do the inner work and we put the effort into that too. And we might be getting towards that goal. We might even be creating it, but it's not feeling joyful. It's not feeling fun. It's not feeling easeful for us, right? And this is how we know that we are not on track with our true desire. What we're in fact actually doing here is we're taking something that is absent from our lives. So it's like, I don't have 10K and I want to create this 10K. And what we're doing is we are putting the focus on something that's absent, and that which we focus on grows. That's a law of the universe, right? What we focus on, what we put our attention to, what we notice grows. So when we put our focus on creating something which is absent from our lives, which very often these manufactured desires are, we create more absence. Your true desire is something that is already within you. It's something that you already have inside of you. And the thing about it is that it comes from the intelligence behind life, which can only be accessed from the present moment. So we don't get a plan. It doesn't tell us, well, here's your true desire. Now here's a whole plan. Go out and take all these steps and then you're going to get there. Sometimes the desire itself is coming to us with just a feeling at the start, just a tiny little piece of information at the start. And it unfolds as we, in each moment, choose to be more and more present so that we can access this intelligence, this intelligent information. And this is not our default for most of us, right? This is why people go out and meditate. This is why all of the gurus, that have been around for many, many, many years in the past have helped people to tap into getting present and in this present moment. Because in this present moment is where everything is. Everything lives in this present moment. You have all of the ideas that you need. You have all of the information that this bigger intelligence that we're all connected to wants to provide us with in this moment. You have all of the resources, the opportunities, the synchronicities, even the miracles that you need in order to create this true desire. in this present moment. You have the support. So when you are creating through, let's call it wisdom, this intelligence behind life, when you're creating from the information being called wisdom and the energy that I call love, right? You can call it whatever you like. It can be called source or, divine energy or whatever you want to call it. When you are tapped into that, you are fully being supported. So that which is actually giving you the information of what is your true desire is also the same intelligence that is giving you the resources, the people, the information, the money, the time, the energy, the ideas, the opportunities to fulfill that. That same intelligence has what we might call a divine plan, right? A bigger picture plan from the start. And it is not going to give you this information of whatever that true desire is, which we're going to help you tap into today, and then not provide you with what it is that you need to create it, right? And this is where people get tripped up. So the first step is what we're going to touch on today, is just touching base on what that true desire is. And then I will give you something to do, a little assignment that you can choose to do, whether if you feel that you'd like to do it. It should feel joyful for you. So if it does, I'll give you a little assignment to do at the end of today's call that will help you to go out and implement this, that will help you to stay on track and in this present moment and tapped into this true desire. So the first thing is getting clear on this true desire. Now, this is not me teaching you something or giving you a tool here today. You might get, a bomb might drop right now and you'll suddenly go, oh my God, I get it, what my true desire is, but that's unusual, all right? It can happen. So bear with me on this, in that I'm simply helping you see things from a different perspective. This is just an understanding. And what might come to you now, might come to you later, might not come to you at all. And if it doesn't come to you, please don't worry about that, okay? It might just be that there's a different way that this will come to you. If you're here and you're curious, the chances are something's going to come to you at some point. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So the way that you know a true desire is through the feeling. It's through how it feels. Now, a moment ago, I shared with you how when we're trying to create manufactured desires, it very often doesn't feel good. And that is telling us something, because human beings are designed for well-being. The life force that we all are made of, that we are all connected to, is creative. It doesn't know how to do anything else but create. It is the same life force that turns embryos into babies and turns acorns into oak trees. It doesn't destroy. It doesn't make things feel bad. We are, you might say, divinely engineered for well-being. If you put your hand on a hot stove, you don't stand there and think, oh, will I take it off or leave it on? You just automatically take it off, right? There is something beyond a figuring out or a thinking. There is a knowing and an automatic engineering behind every human to feel well. I mean, that's literally why the whole coaching industry is a multi-billion-dollar industry and continues to grow, for our need as human beings, to facilitate our need as human beings to feel better. We're always trying to feel better. Every single person just wants to feel better. And yet we miss something that's so simple, that is so innocent to miss, but that I have been literally cultivating and doing my best to live every single day. And that is simply following the feeling. If it feels bad, it's telling you you're not on the right track. You are caught up trying to do it all on your own. You are caught up with old thinking, old ways that you may have done things before, that that you've been doing over and over again, and it's not producing the results that you want, but yet we still keep doing it that way, right? When you experience a good feeling, it is telling you you are on the right track. The good feeling is telling you that you are simply doing what you need to do in this moment. Now, it might have absolutely nothing to do with the thing that you are desiring to create, right? I mean, I'm desiring to create a whole new way of doing business. At the moment, my desire is to reach the masses, is to bring Divatude to everybody. It's completely, radically different from anything I've done before. And it's such a knowing and a feeling inside me. I just know to do it. And I trust, because I've been doing this a long time, I've seen how this works. But everything in my brain, everything any marketing or business coach would tell me would go completely against this. You know, it's going from where I used to have a high ticket model where everybody was paying in thousands to work with me, and I worked with very few people one-on-one, to working with groups at much, much lower prices, 10, 20 times less than what I was charging, right? Going out and simply sharing this understanding and not bringing marketing strategies and all of the things that I thought I need, that people really want in order to show up. Showing up on Zoom calls where there's very few people, but continuing to trust that this is a way that I can continue to share and share and share. And as I was walking down the street yesterday, and I had actually just come out of a court yesterday, a custody trial that had been closed after 3 years. And if anybody here has ever been through a divorce or a custody battle, the day it's finished is like coming out of war. It's like having been in a war for 3 years and then suddenly having this, you know, it's all over kind of feeling. And there's almost a shell shockness. Well, certainly that was my experience of it. And I found my mind, as I was walking down the street after, you know, winning my case, my mind was going to, I should feel better. I should be celebrating. I should be drinking champagne and dancing and smoking cigars. Why am I not doing that? What is wrong with me? Why do I feel so bad? And I caught myself, and it's just that awareness. And I noticed that I feel bad, right? And that feeling is telling me one thing and one thing only. It's telling me that I'm simply caught up with old programming. I'm simply caught up with thoughts that are old and not fresh, that are not coming from this present moment, the intelligence behind life, the creative life force. And so in that moment, as soon as I noticed that, I asked myself the question, what do I have available to me right now in this moment that I can do to make myself feel better? And the thought occurred to me that I had a massage booked, so to go and have that massage, and then to go for a walk and to have an early night. And as I entered my house, a very close friend of mine showed up right before I was just about to go out to have the massage. And he knew that I had come out of this custody thing, and he didn't say a word. He just put his arms around me, and I fell into his arms and I cried. And he said to me, "You're just a soldier out of war. It's okay. Just let it go." And I just felt it all go away. And that was what I needed in that moment. And that, for me, these are the little miracles that are provided when we let go. If I had have just kept on going in the direction of, oh, I should be out dancing, I should be drinking champagne, I should be doing this, I would have gotten myself into a worse and worse state. But just noticing gives this little bit of space that opens up all sorts of possibilities, that allows us to be supported. And when I say supported by the universe, I think there's this kind of whole, you know, idea that there's, you know, and there are, I'm sure as well, like whatever you believe in, that there's angels and entities and all sorts of, you know, things around us, but there's also people around us. There's also, like, people are who we have here in this life, in this world right now. And very often, you know, people are who pay us the money for our business. People are who we have the relationships with. So our relationships with people, our support from people is so much overlooked, you know. And we think we want to be alone, and we don't accept help and all of these kind of things. So sure as God, I went away and I had my massage and I went for my walk. And then the thought occurred to me to take melatonin last night, which is just a natural relaxant. And I had the best night's sleep I could have ever had. And I woke up feeling fresh this morning and feeling ready to share what I wanted to share in this call today and to take the next step in my business and all of that kind of stuff. So my point here is that following the feeling, you know, it can look like, well, no, I've got to sit down and open up my computer and design a program and do the marketing and get on Facebook and tell everybody all about this. But sometimes it's just as simple as have an early night. Take a bit of melatonin and go to bed early and get a good night's rest. And from that place, from a more settled mind, because a good night's rest or a walk or whatever it might be for you to make you feel better can be everything that will just allow the mind to settle down, allow the body to settle down and create some space for the next piece, you know, to get you present again, so that the next piece of information or the next person to hug you shows up, or the next idea comes, or the next person to show up on your Zoom call comes along, whatever it might be. And the trust to have in that we are being given each little step and we don't know what the outcome is, that takes practice. And it takes simply coming back to, again, what am I feeling? Am I feeling good or bad? I don't feel good. Well, look away from that. I know where that feeling is coming from. It's coming from old thinking. It's coming from worrying, imagination, fear. What could I do right now to feel better? Is the question to ask. What can I do right now to feel better? That might have nothing to do with what I want to create. So I'm kind of reverse engineering a little bit here. But the same can go for your true desire. When you think about what your true desire might be, I recently shared I had a true desire with a coach of mine, and I said, I want to have a lump sum of money in my bank account. And I realized money doesn't light me up. A lump sum of money is not exciting to me. It's not something that makes me feel great. It's just this idea. It's a manufactured idea. And what I tapped into really was, and the question to ask here is, why do I want this thing that I want to create? So I asked, why do I want this lump sum of money? And what came to me at that time was, well, actually, I just want to be free to be able to earn and spend money. And when that came to me, I got a feeling, like a remembrance, I remember being here before, and I realized I had been there before. And I realized, actually, it's only recently I started to be like this. Now, our tendency is to go into the why and, oh yeah, that happened and this is why, but then we're going back into the problem again. So I don't want to go into that too much, but something did happen for me that got me there. But I let it go and I came back to the feeling. And the feeling was just this freedom. And in that moment, I'd already received what it is that I desired. It's already there. I only desire to be free to earn and spend money. And I cultivated that. What I mean by cultivate is it's like a little plant, you know, it's like a seed that you plant, and it's like a gardener that goes and pours water onto this plant every day. Every time I noticed myself around this money story, getting into a different feeling, the feeling that showed me that I was no longer on track, you know, the worrying about the money, I noticed this is not the right feeling. I'm off track here. And I simply switched myself back to, I am somebody who is free, who freely earns and spends money. And that feeling is embodied in me because it already exists. So it's like a little spark that as we keep putting our focus on, remember I said, what you put your focus on grows. As I continue to put my focus on, I am a person who freely earns and spends money. It is growing and growing from there. And all of that time and energy and non-presence, because to be present means to be free of our old personal thinking, our old habitual thinking. When I was over there worrying about money, I couldn't see ideas or possibilities in order to continue to be more in that freedom of earning and spending money, to continue to grow that spark and turn it into a flame. So leaving behind that and continuing to create the habit of coming back to that feeling, I am someone who earns and spends money freely, gave me a sense of settlement and space that allowed more ideas come, and incidentally, money started to flow on a regular basis. And when I received that money, even if it was a tiny amount, I put my attention to it. I noticed it. It wasn't like, oh, it should be more. Oh, it's not that big lump sum. It was, that's wonderful. Money's coming. There's money flowing. I'm spending. There's money flowing. I'm spending. There's money flowing on everything I could desire. Anything I want, I can spend money on. And it doesn't matter how low my bank balance is. That's got nothing to do with this. It might seem that way in our logical mind, but it's going with that desire again. It's the feeling, it's the wisdom. Well, and I'm not talking about going out and buying, flat screen TVs or spending all your money in the Black Friday sales on junk. I'm talking about spending on things that are wisdom led, things that feel like the right thing to do, investments, right? Assets. So yeah, I think I've kind of covered everything there. It's, just to recap on it, it's that the feeling is telling you when you're on track with everything, including your desire. So if you start with your desire, why is it that I want to create this thing? That's going to give you more truth as opposed to a manufactured desire. And when it starts to feel good, that's a recognition, that's a memory. It's something that's in you already. And so we want to simply get back to that, build that as our habit to keep coming back to that feeling. Now, what I have noticed has happened around that particular desire, that particular true desire, is that the layers start to strip away, that the true desire starts to become even clearer and clearer, in that the true desire isn't even feeling free to spend and earn money anymore. The true desire has become reaching the masses with Divatude. Now, and again, that same feeling comes to me, that same knowing comes to me in the same way that I know to remove my hand from the hot stove. And in the same way that gravity exists, right? Like you don't jump off a building. If somebody says jump off a building, well, no, I'm not going to jump off a building. Well, why not? Because there's gravity, right? Well, how do you know there's gravity? You just know there's gravity, right? That's your divine engineering for well-being, right? And so what's come from that particular layer for me, just to give you an example, is that another layer has come away, and it's like, well, what I see here is, again, the intelligence that gave me that initial desire to be free to spend money has stripped away to giving me the desire underneath that is to share this message with people. Now, would that intelligence share with me, go out and do this for your living, like as your income source, right? Not just as a hobby, but this is my living, right? And then not provide me with the sustenance to continue to create this, not provide me with the income, whether that comes from people who are doing this or somewhere else, I have no idea. Not provide me with the energy I need, not provide me with the power I need, not provide me with the ideas and the tools, not provide me with the internet, or if I don't know how to use technology, would it not provide me with the means and the know-how to do that? So that trusting again, coming back. And if we start to get into the worrying again, notice the feeling, just notice it. And in this moment, choose, What can I do to feel better in this moment? So, Dominic, I know you're you're the only one here today, but I don't want to put you on the spot, but is there anything coming to you that you'd like to share, or any questions that you have at this point? I'd be very happy to answer them if I can.
Yeah, hi. Thanks, Nikki.
You're welcome. I hope that was clear, first of all. I hope it's.
That was great, because I'm kind of in the throes of kind of trying to work through this myself, because yeah, as a like sort of the true desire thing was something that kind of spoke to me. Like, where does that come from? Where does it emerge from? I'm kind of expecting it to come from a place of peace within me and some kind of insight, so to speak. But it feels like I'm kind of trying to make it happen, so to speak. Does that make sense? And so I'm not really doing much other than dancing around, kind of trying to make this piece of hitherto unseen knowledge emerge. And I'm guessing what you're saying is that you start somewhere, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's not what you're saying, but you start somewhere because that's on the right kind of path, and not worry too much about the path. And the path will kind of be revealed as you go along, and your feelings are the guide, so to speak.
Yeah, well, let's just take it one step at a time for a moment.
Yeah.
Usually, I mean, I don't know if this is true for you, but usually people start with a manufactured desire. That
yes.
The fact that you have a desire is really all you need right now. And right. From there, we can look at seeing the why behind that. So I don't know if you want to share anything that you're trying to create right now, or that you're looking towards creating.
Well, no, because I kind of am not too dissimilar from you, but I understand. No, so you want to create some income, you want to create a business, you want to create clients, etc. And just as you said, you kind of go, well, that first level desire, I guess, probably comes from ego, right? Probably from what you feel that you lack. Yeah, because you notice, okay, I want this because I don't have that.
Yeah. Well, this is where you only know that yourself from the feeling. So you know what a true desire is by how it feels. So if you're trying to create something, so is there anything that you can give me as an example, or you don't have to share what it is, but if there's anything.
Well, no, just for your, because for me, from what it looks like, for example, for you, for what you just said earlier, I'd say I want to create clients, I want to create a business, and so you went from, okay, well, I want to put money in the bank kind of thing, to actually now I want to share Divatude to the world kind of thing. So that's a a process that you've gotten to. Is that right? Am I saying that right?
Well, I'd like to put it to you, not to to my story. That's what I'm trying to get at here. That if there's something you feel you would like to create, I think it would be helpful if you feel comfortable sharing. You don't have to go into details, but it's just understanding that there's.
Well, say I would like to create a coaching business.
Okay, right. So the whole thing here is, have you started trying to create this coaching business?
Yeah.
Okay. And how's it feeling, Dominic, as you're doing it? Is it feeling easeful, or is it feeling like a struggle, or is it feeling hard, or is it, is it feeling good, or is it feeling bad?
Some days a lot better than others. Let's put it that way.
So some days it isn't feeling so good?
Well, it just depends. So when I'm actually in the process of coaching, for example, when I'm coaching somebody, that feels great, and I love doing that. When I'm writing blog posts, sometimes I feel like, it's not even me really writing. It feels like something's kind of coming through me.
Okay.
But those days are, I would say, maybe 20% of the time. The other 80% of the time, it kind of feels like I'm doing things, people not showing up, putting stuff out there, nobody, Do you know what I mean? Trying to get people to come onto web. And those kind of days are the ones that it feels like efforting, as you said.
Okay, all right. So if we were to look at the overall thing, and it's create a coaching business, which suggests that there's a transaction made, that you're making money from coaching.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So would it be true to say then that 80% of the time creating money from coaching feels difficult for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, doing what I do, yeah. I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
No,
okay.
that's
maybe
fine. So this is what I mean. It's the feeling. So what we want to tap into here is what's underneath that. Like, why do you want to create a coaching business? What is your why? That may or may not come to you right now, right? So we don't need to actually, this is not a coaching session. This is not me coaching you to try to get into your mind, right? But it's the why behind it. It's the stripping of the layers. So let me share a little more on the understanding to help you see this more around this particular subject, right? For you, this particular example for you. It's, if there was ever a moment, perhaps, this is just coming to me now, where when you had the idea to start a coaching business, that you felt something really great inside you, a nice feeling or a lit up feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that ever happening for you?
Yeah, more than one occasion. But...
Okay. Can you perhaps understand what that feeling is about, where that feeling is coming from? What are the ideas or thoughts behind that feeling that gave you that idea, that gave you that feeling rather?
Right.
What was it about having a coaching business that gave you that feeling?
I think feeling good about helping people.
Okay. And so when you imagine yourself, or when you are helping people, and I'm also hearing when you're having your calls and when you're writing your posts, and you feel good, right?
Yeah.
So, right. Okay. So do you see we're kind of touching on something here? So I don't want to give you information here. I want you to see, just keep noticing that which is feeling good. What we're doing here in this understanding is just noticing that which is feeling good. We're following breadcrumbs, basically, right? So keep noticing those ideas, those thoughts, as I kind of probe you a little bit here, those ideas that are feeling good, that which is feeling good, keep following that. So that helping people part.
Mm-hmm.
How does that feel when you just literally just focus on that feeling right now, that helping people part of coaching?
Yeah, that's the bit I love.
Okay. That's everything.
Yeah.
That's everything else outside of that. I mean, even the word coaching business, like that's in itself has so many ideas, conformed ideas attached to it, and ideas from the industry and ideas from business and ideas. Let me ask you this question. Do you love business? Is business something that lights you up?
A little bit, but not in the same way.
The same feeling as helping people.
No.
So, right. So that's why most people, when they want to help people, or I work with artists or people who are like really just wanting to share something with the world, right? And they feel the calling. In other words, the calling, right? This is your desire. But then society goes, well, now you've got to have a coaching business, and you've got to package it all up and do all X, Y, and Z and show up and do all of these things, right? And there's this steps you take and there's these strategies you take, and you got to do it this way because that's how everyone else is doing it, or whatever it might look like. Now, I've been, and I don't know how involved you are, and I've seen you around lots of times, but I don't know how involved you are in my story and my journey, but I've been criticized by some, not very many, but by some, for changing my mind a lot, for pivoting a lot, for doing something different and radically changing the way I'm doing my business. In 15 years, it's gone from, I mean, I've been sharing the same stuff for 15 years, but it went from vocal coach to career transition coach to marketing agency to magical marketing to full-on Divatude, which is really, in all honesty, what I wanted to do 15 years ago, but was too afraid to do. Right? And it's scary. It's scary, right? But it took me 8 years of this understanding to really get. Now, I'm not saying it's going to take you 8 years, okay? But for me, my journey to really get to trust enough, like not even enough, to trust completely that I know I'm following the right path, and I know that there's no way that this cannot work out. I just know I have evidence of this, right? So what I have, and if I can share, just this is advice that you can take or leave it at this point. This is more advice than insight for you.
Yeah.
Worked for me. I'll just share what's worked for me. You know, you can choose if you want to try this or not. But what's worked for me is that if I don't like doing it, I just stop and I do something else. Right? And it seems radical to most people. And I've done it for 8 years, Dominic, and I've had times where I've made more than 6 figures in my business, and I've had 35K months from that place, right? And I've equally had times where I was broke, but I've never been completely broke that I've not been able to live, right? And usually when I look back in hindsight, the times when I've been, you know, struggling with money, it's a lot to do with me being in a lower state of mind, right? And not being in a free state of mind in this present moment, away from all that contaminated thought. So it's less about looking at what we think we should do. And again, I want to just simplify this and bring it back to the feeling. The feeling's telling you everything. I should do this, but it feels terrible. Well, then why are you doing it? Right? Well, because that's what I was told to do. That's how you build a business. Well, what if I don't know what to do, but let's look at what I have available to me right now that I could do that I like. And keep going in the direction of the thing that you like. So specifically in your business, I mean, I shared things you can do in each moment, day to day, anyway, like going for a walk, getting good sleep or whatever, but specifically in your business, well, I like writing and I like coaching people. Now, here I am coaching you, right? And I'm not doing it for money, but I'm doing what I like. And what I've seen to be true is that when I continue to do what I like, which is very similar to what you like, and in most cases, because we only like the coaching part, right? Is I just coach. I just write and I just coach. And I've let go of the ideas of that this has to look like this to make it a business. You have to pay me for every single time I come on a call. Because what I've seen has happened is that when I just coach, those people very often end up coming back to me and saying, I'd like to have your help, you know, in a paid opportunity, or I open up a course or something, and they all come back and say, I'd love to join your course, or whatever it might be. Not everybody. Or they go and they tell people about me. Last month or 2 months ago, I had one lady that just thought I was so great. I worked for free, that she told a lot of people about me. And we started this kind of affiliate thing going on, right? Temporarily. And it brought lots of new people into my circles, right? And that's just coming from this, you know, trusting in the feeling, that the feeling is telling us everything. And it is hard at the start, because it's like, well, how can I just throw everything away and just go in this way? But what I've seen to be very fast is our level of well-being increases so much more. Our level of intelligence, the quality of our thinking gets so much better. You get way better ideas when you're in a good feeling than when you're doing things that you're not enjoying, that are giving you a bad feeling, that you end up having conversations with yourself about internally as to why I'm feeling so bad, and I wish I was feeling better, and I wish this was working, and all of that kind of stuff. Because when we're there, it's like a snow globe. It's like all that snow is like filled up in our head, that we don't see the intelligent information. We don't see the opportunities. And there's always less to be done. It's, you know, creating anything, you know, you hear in the law of attraction of the path of least resistance, but it's true. you know, like bees do it. Bees don't zigzag to get to the tree that they need to pollinate. Trees don't pollinate more than, or sorry, bees don't pollinate more than one specific type of plant each time. You know, they don't use excess energy. They don't take long cuts, right? All animals do that, right? So the path of least resistance means that you end up doing a whole lot less. And as you're present enough, and when I say present, what I mean is that you're less concerned with the old thinking. So looking away from that which is making you feel bad. Anything, whether thinking or doing things. And being present means just simply being with what's with you right now. The more often you're doing that, the better ideas you get. And those tend to be the ideas that work. And they're coming from you and your wisdom. They're not coming from somebody's strategy or somebody else's idea. This is how a coaching business works. And believe me, I've been there many, many times.
Yes.
I might be called nuts by a lot of people, but it works for me.
I understand.
That help.
It does. Can I ask you two more questions?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So the first question I'll ask is, so there's a lot of maybe I've misunderstood, but in terms of like the law of attractions or like manifesting things, manifesting let's say, for example, a program in 3 months filled with 100 people, that's just, I mean, how would you kind of get into that? Is that, and then I start to focus on that, and then, I mean, just does that kind of thing work? Are you saying that the intention is to create a program at some point, and what's happening right now, what do I do now based on how I'm feeling? If that was kind of, the short term versus the long term, the present versus the short term versus the long term, it's a difficult one to manage.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the law of attraction, because it's like it's a mystery to a lot of people, but it's actually really much more simple. And as I started this conversation with that, it all starts with your true desire. It all starts with identifying, is this your true desire? So is creating a program of hundreds of people in X amount of time your true desire? But if it isn't your true desire, if it doesn't feel like this knowing like you had when you just want to help people, whatever your true desire. So again, if that was an idea, I would be looking at the why behind that until you come to the feeling and you see what's underneath that. It could be anything. It's only for you to discover, right? And then you focus on your true desire. So because it's already in you, right? What you want to create is already in you. What we're doing is attraction here. Law of attraction means you are being it already, and it is multiplying. It's like cell division. Again, it's like going back to the embryo. It starts off with, like, look how babies are made. Like, they're literally made from love, the creative life force, and it's cell division. And it doesn't do anything else. It just grows and grows and grows until a baby's born, and then it grows into a human and lives out its life, right? It's the same thing when you have a true desire. The feeling is telling you that you've just, basically created an embryo, so to speak, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's already there. It already exists. And what you're doing is putting your attention to it more and more. When we get these other ideas, these manufactured ideas, you've got to do a lot of that work on your own, if not all of it on your own, because it's not coming from the creative intelligence. It's coming from things you've learned from other people, picked up from other people, what you think, what your old thinking is coming with. Does that help? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's very helpful. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And then the last question was just about you said 15 years ago. You knew that the diva wanted to be unleashed 15 years ago. Was that just old thinking, other people's ideas, what you thought was that just kind of getting in the way of that? Was that like a kernel of something inside of you that you didn't listen to? Or?
Well, 15 years ago, I didn't have this understanding or a grounding in it.
Okay.
So I hadn't been practicing it. I hadn't noticed why, where my experience of life was coming from. So it looked like it was out there. It looked like at the time to me, like it was, I'd just come back from Thailand and had a big spiritual awakening. And I did try. I started up a thing called Sing to Heal, Heal to Sing, right?
Yeah.
And I invited a bunch of girls to it. And it started off, or men and women, young people. And it was all sorts of things to do with shamanic dancing and movement and voice and healing and all of this kind of stuff. And it started off with 15 people and very quickly went down to 2. And we were just like the 2 most hippy dippy out there.
Yeah.
And it started to look like Dublin wasn't ready for this yet. I was scared because I looked like a witch or something. They were going to burn me at the stake or something. So yes, you know what I mean? This is like even ancestral. This is where it all goes back to. And then it was Shira alternative vocal coaching. And I took the alternative out of it because I was too alternative. And so when I look back, then I had this understanding. So I just was operating like the whole world was operating. And it just looked like, well, I really want to do this, but I'm too scared because everybody out there is saying, you're weird. This is weird. You can't do that. And then, and as time went on, it progressed into other things. And I was making my decisions based on, preconceived ideas, old thinking, conditioning, right? So that's where this understanding is really is everything, because as we ground in this understanding, what we're doing is we're spending less time in old habitual thinking, which is not fresh thinking coming from this moment in this life force. It's not creative. It's just old stuff, right? It's just old it's like running an old computer program over and over again, expecting something to change. So what we're doing from this understanding is we're simply noticing, when do we feel not great? Well, that's just telling us we're in old habitual thinking. And instead of going in that direction, coming into the direction of what feels good and continuing to follow the feelings, because the feelings are the information. And we get, actual information from there. It does evolve into ideas and opportunities and tangible things that we can create from. So we are supported by life. So now though, and I'll just bring you to this, because now, and I kind of briefly mentioned this earlier on, I said to come back to it, so this is a good opportunity to come back to it. Now, if I, to give an example, this lump sum in the bank, right? Now, if I see why I didn't create the lump sum or whatever that looked like, or why that wasn't my desire, instead of going into that direction and going, oh my God, yeah, because I got into debt this year and it was the first time I was ever in debt, and oh my God, and that meant I was trying to create this money that didn't exist, and I was trying to create from absence, and that's why I created nothing, and why it was so hard for me to create money this year, what I know now is not to go there. It's innocent. It's most people's habits to go there. That's why I didn't create it. But what we're doing then is we're just staying over there with the old programming. What we want to do is put our attention to the insight, the fresh new wisdom that's through. So it's the insight of, oh my God, yeah, I'm just a person who's free to spend and earn money, and to cultivate that, to make that the most important thing that I think of every single day. I mean, some little tips and tricks, and I'm going to give you a little assignment, and for everyone who's watching the replay as well, is that, for me at that point is I turn it into an I am declaration. I am someone who earns and spends money freely. And I attach it to something that's already a habit, because I want to make it a habitual thought, rather than the old habit of going into the old thing. So every time I pick up my toothbrush in the morning, because I do that every day, I'm saying I am a person who is freely earning and spending money, right? That's just a little tool you can use. And so when you do that, because those true desires come from insight and you feel it, it is in you and it's already embodied. So when you say those declarations, again, it's not like someone else's manufactured declaration, I have $1 million or I am rich. Like if that doesn't feel true to you, it's not going to work. But when you've already experienced the truth in that and the feeling, when I say that, the feeling comes back to me. We feel it again. So we know it's there. It conjures up the feeling. The feeling is like all your cells, your whole biochemistry changes, literally vibrating at a higher level and getting into higher vibrations where we're attracting. We are literally standing still and attracting. We're like sending a signal out to the mothership, you know, and attracting everything we need because we are focused. Our attention is on, I am a person who is free to earn and spend money. And the universe hears that as, okay, here you go. Here's money, spend it. Here's more, spend it. Here's more. Be free.
Okay.
You are free, right?
Cool. That's very, very helpful. Thank you very, very much.
Very, very welcome. So I am going to give everybody a tiny little assignment that you can choose to do, but it's so helpful. And I started to do this about 3 years ago. And it was actually during the time when I went through my separation, and it was really quite a difficult time in my life. And I found it helpful and I've continued to do it. And that is something called a miracle book. So the invitation to you is you can use this either on your computer or you can get an actual book, whatever you prefer, is to keep a little miracle book. And it's literally a daily thing. It's to notice when things are feeling good, right? What you create and how things manifest from a good feeling. It could be the most simple thing, but like, even if it's just somebody pays you £10, you write it in and you notice it, because that which you notice grows, right? And it can be for everything in your life. It's not just specifically around your business. So, it can be that, well, I was really hungry and I wanted something really nice to eat, but the menu in the restaurant was so bloody long, I didn't feel like reading it all. So I just ordered a special and it ended up being the most delicious thing I ever had in my life, right? That's a miracle. So we keep putting our attention on the things that we are creating that make us feel good. And the beauty about this, apart from the fact that as we notice what we're creating through these feelings, and through noticing it grows, we also, in times when we're at a lower state of mind and when we're maybe feeling that, discouraged, or that, we can't see the opportunities in front of us, or we can't see the way forward, you can take out your miracle book and you can look at it, and it is evidence. This is where you can build trust. This is where you can look back and see that every single day you've created something from a good feeling. So you start to tap into knowing that that good feeling is the way to create. So you might find big miracles and small miracles going into that journal, but try if you can to see there's miracles every single day. We just don't notice them. That's the thing. Our tendency is, the habit is to go to what's not working, what doesn't feel good. So it actually shifts your state of mind big time when you're literally putting attention to the things that are good, the things that you are creating in each day. It doesn't matter if it's a meal. If well, I had this idea to cook a curry, and then when I cooked it, it ended up being brilliant. Like I did it this morning. I had to do my daughter's art project. I posted a little thing on Facebook this morning about it, and there was a mess all over the table. And I end up, wait till I get it for you, it's really funny. She's 5 and we've had this mess all over the table for 3 days, and we're co-parenting. So she's not in my house all the time. So we can't bring all the art material, and it's late going in and everything. And I look at this picture of Santa's boot, and I've all these tinsel and shells and pasta and glue everywhere. And I'm thinking, oh God, how the heck am I going to do this? And my mind is saying, I'm crap at art. I can't do this. I shouldn't be doing this for her. I wish this bloody mess would go away. I just want my kitchen counter back. And as I'm making it and I'm getting more and more present, I'm enjoying the experience, and I end up creating this. I don't know, it looks like a 5-year-old made it, but it's meant to. I made this. Right? And I look at it and I go, never
That's pretty good.
would have even imagined that this could look like that. It was a blank piece of paper with an outline of a boot, right? I never imagined it could have looked like this. So we need to let go of the outcome of what our business or what our relationship or what our Santa boot's going to look like. As you get into, as each moment came along, I thought, oh, I think I'll stick a bit of cotton wool. Oh, it'd be nice to put a few feathers. Oh, that'd be nice there. Maybe I'll cut out some paper from, the Christmas wrapping paper and add that in. Those ideas came as I went along with this process. I didn't plan it all out and decide where I was going to put anything. If I'd have done that, it probably would have turned out very, very differently from this. So it unfolds. It's an unfolding as we stay present, right?
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully that's a good analogy. I'm not going to be winning any art awards. thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your questions.
No
And
worries.
now you're on my email address, right?
Yes.
So you can get a notification there if I've got another one, but I'm planning to do these every second week. Okay. So
Okay.
thanks again, and I'll speak to you all very soon. And anyone has any questions, if you're watching the replay, you can go to the Living with Divatude Facebook group, and you can get into a discussion, like an after discussion, or share any insights or any experiences, or you can share your miracle journals or whatever you want in there as well. That's the place to do it. Okay, see you soon. Take care.
Cool. Thanks, Nikki. Bye-bye.
Bye. You're very welcome. Bye-bye.